Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhare Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachare Yamuna Tiravanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhare Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachare Yamuna Tiravanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Jam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimate Si Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chikara Bhagavan Rishihi Nikshreya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastyainam Mahat. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, and verses 26 and 27. So what's going on in this chapter? Swayambhuva Manu came with his wife Shatarupa to meet with a great sage Kardama Muni, and eventually Kardama Muni agreed to take the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, accept her as his wife, and now Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa are leaving. So that's what we are reading today. These two verses go combined, go together. So I will read verse 26, and we will read together and repeat verse number 27. Amantriyata munivaram anugyatak sahanugaha pratastherata마ruhya sabharyak swapuram nripaha. Please chant after me. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Sarasvatyak surodhasoho. Sarasvatyak surodhasoho. Rishinam upashantanam. Rishinam upashantanam. Pashyanashrama sampadaha. Pashyanashrama sampadaha. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Sarasvatyak surodhasoho. Rishinam upashantanam. Pashyanashrama sampadaha. Please repeat. Sarasvatyak surodasoho. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Sarasvatyak surodasoho. Rishinam upashantanam. Rishinashrama sampadaha. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Sarasvatyak surodasoho. Rishinam upashantanam. Pashyanashrama sampada. Vaishnavis. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Sarasvatyak surodasoho. Rishinam upashantanam. Pashyanashrama sampadaha. Ubhayori shikulyayah. Sarasvachakshurodaso Rishinamupasantana Ashyanashrama Sampadaha Amantriya, taking permission to go. Tam, from him. Kardama. Munivaram, from the best of sages. Anugyataha, being permitted to live. Saha Anugaha, along with his retinue. Pratasthe, started for. Ratham Aruhya, mounting his chariot. Sabharyaha, along with his wife. Swapuram, his own capital. Nripaha, the emperor. Ubhayoho, on both. Rishikulyayaha, agreeable to the sages. Sarasvatyaha, of the river Saraswati. Surodhasoho, the charming banks. Rishinam, of the great sages. Upashantanam, tranquil. Pashyan, seeing. Ashrama Sampadaha, the prosperity of the beautiful hermitages. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started for his capital, followed by his retinue. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil seer's beautiful hermitages on both the charming banks of the Saraswati, the river so agreeable to saintly persons. Purport. As cities are constructed in the modern age with great engineering and architectural craftsmanship, so in days gone by, there were neighborhoods called Rishikulas, where great saintly persons resided. In India, there are still many magnificent places for spiritual understanding. There are many rishis and saintly persons living in nice cottages on the banks of the Ganges and Yamuna for purposes of spiritual cultivation. While passing through the Rishikulas, the king and his party were very much satisfied with the beauty of the cottages and hermitages. It is stated here, Pashyanashrama Sampadaha. The great sages had no skyscrapers, but the hermitages were so beautiful that the king was very much pleased at the sight. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sajivan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Pacitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasaji Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoche vachalam pangum lankayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Jinataranam Kathanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet Vismrite viparitam syat Shri Chaitanyam namamitam. Hare Krishna. Please let me play my role today. Srila Prabhupada created the system that every day we read Srimad Bhagavatam, so sometimes we need to give classes also, not only listening. So today in this verse, in these two verses, there is a description how Swayambhuva Manu, along with his wife Shatarupa, take permission from the great sage Kardama Muni and left his ashram. And on the way they saw beautiful hermitages on the both sides of Saraswati river. So this purport is not very philosophical, but still here in the verse also it's mentioned the great river Saraswati. So I will speak a little bit about this, and I feel blessed that I got these interesting verses, and I got a chance to glorify the Saraswati Devi. So from the ancient times, river played very important role in the lives of people, and nowadays 96% of water on this earth are not fit to be drunk. So it's because most of the water on this earth are located in the oceans, and oceans, they have salty water. We cannot drink salty water. That's why since time immemorial, the main source of drinking water were rivers. And not only that, Srila Prabhupada also, there is one purport in this regard from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8 and text number 40. It's very important in relation to today's class. Srila Prabhupada states, human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by gigantic industrial enterprises. The gigantic industrial enterprises are products of a godless civilization, and they cause the destruction of the noble aims of human life. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions that the natural gifts such as grains and vegetables, fruits, rivers and hills of jewels and minerals, and the seas full of pearls are supplied by the order of the Supreme. And what is the role of the rivers in our life? The flow of river waters fertilizes the fields, and there is more than what we need. Minerals are produced in the hills and the jewels in the ocean. If the human civilization has sufficient grains, minerals, jewels, water, milk, etc., then why should it hanker after terrible industrial enterprises at the cost of the labor of some unfortunate man? So Srila Prabhupada encourages us to preserve our natural gifts given by the Lord, rivers, everything, hills. And Chanakya Niti also states in his, Chanakya Pandit states in his Chanakya Niti that one should not settle in the place where is no rivers, and also where there are no Brahmana learned in the Vedas, where is no powerful king. We shouldn't reside there because this place is unauspicious. This is from material point of view also. Yeah, water, rivers are the source of drinking water, but from the spiritual point of view, rivers are also very significant. And I think most of you know one verse from the Puranas. Gangi chai muni chaiva godavari sarasvati narbade sindhu kaveri jalismin sannidhim kuru. So several most important rivers are described here. These rivers are holy rivers, and everybody who resides on their banks can take advantage, can make spiritual progress. And especially first of them, Ganga, Yamuna, then Godavari, and Saraswati. And Ganga, her name means the one who flows very swiftly. So it can be applied to some other rivers, but mainly Ganga. We know her as Ganga. And Ganga is present nowadays also, and Yamuna also is present, but Saraswati, among all the holy rivers, Saraswati has some mystery, because nowadays she is practically disappeared from earth. But it's a river connected to the great sages, because Saraswati Devi, she is not ordinary living entity. Later, I will tell who was she. And Saraswati Devi, it's difficult to find her, although in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, on many different occasions, she is mentioned. So Saraswati Devi, she is present nowadays in Himalayas near the Badarikashram. In the first canto of Bhagavatam, there is a story of Vyasadeva, how he has compiled Vedic scriptures. And it said that when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vyasadeva was born to Parashara in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu. And then 1.4.15. Sa kadachit sarasvatya upasprishya jalam shuchihi vivikta ekasena udite ravimandale. Once upon a time, he, Vyasadeva, as the sun rose, took his morning ablation in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate. And Srila Prabhupada's purport. The river Saraswati is flowing in the Badarikashram area of the Himalayas. So the place indicated here is Shamyaprasa in Badarikashrama, where Shri Vyasadeva is residing. So Badarikashram, the ashram of Srila Vyasadeva, is located on the western side of the Saraswati river. But nowadays what we see, Saraswati is also present near Badarikashram, but on the eastern side. So how is that? How to reconcile this? Because Vyasadeva, he was sitting and working in a place called original Badarikashram or Uttara Badri. And that place is not accessible anymore for humans. So we cannot go there. That's why this present Badarikashram, which is accessible for us, we can call it an expansion or some manifestation of the original Badarikashram. We can go there, maybe not now, but in summer season we can go there. And we can see Saraswati river. Saraswati Devi, her body color is white, and Saraswati is also white. But we cannot take bath in her because she flows very swiftly. And we can conclude that in the Uttara Bhadri, Madhvacharya went there. That's why he is counted as a disciple of Srila Vyasadeva himself. He went there and he saw the original Saraswati. So we can guess that here in the Uttari Bhadri, the original Saraswati flows. But also she comes down to this Badrinath we can see now. And after that, she is not more visible. But nowadays, even 100 years before, the scientists in India started their research. What was the flow of Saraswati? And it is mentioned also in the Shastras that Saraswati enters the Arabic Ocean in the present Gujarat state. So she flows to the west. unlike most of the rivers in India, which flow to the east, Saraswati flows to the west. And among all the rivers in India, most of them are female. Ganga, Yamuna, etc. All these rivers are female, but there are some exceptions like Brahmaputra, for example, son of Brahma, and Damodara river. These rivers are male rivers. So Saraswati is still present, and we can go and look at her. What is the meaning of the word Saraswati? It means, Saras means some lake or some body of water, and Vati means full of. So Saraswati means full of lakes or full of water. It's not like that anymore, because rivers are drying. Yesterday, I was fortunate to visit the birthplace of Srila Jayadeva Goswami, and his ashrama was situated on the river of Ajay River. And I was surprised. We can see that previously that Ajay River was very wide, very, very wide. But nowadays it's very small river. So they are drying up. Unfortunately, also Saraswati is a divine consort of Brahma. And in material world she is known as a goddess of learning, goddess of education, of music and arts. And in Mahabharata there is a mentioning that Saraswati agreed to descend to this material world with one condition. She will present here until the Brahmanas stop their yagyas and performing tapasyas on her banks. So during Krishna's lifetime she was present fully on earth, and then she started disappearing. Because nowadays there are no Brahmanas performing yagas anymore practically, except one special places, which we will mention later. That's why she gradually disappearing. And nowadays also in India there is one river, Saraswati. We can find it near Bendel station in West Bengal. On the way to Howrah there is one junction station, Bendel Junction. There are a few holy places. One of them is the house of Raghunath Das Goswami. You know, Raghunath Das Goswami was a member of Suvarna Vanik group originally. His relatives, Govardhan and Hiranya Majumdar, were great merchants, and their house was situated just on the bank of Saraswati. Saraswati was very wide at times, and it was a major trade point in West Bengal. Nowadays Saraswati is a very small little river. It's not the same river which is flowing in Himalayas, but still some similarity is there. That's why we may know that Saraswati is flowing also, another Saraswati flowing near the house of Raghunath Das Goswami. But thanks to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who has compiled Navadvip Dhamma Mahatmya and Navadvip Bhavataranga, that is his revelation, divine revelations. And he describes that nowadays Saraswati is still present in some other place which is known as Sri Navadvip Dham, especially Sri Mayapur Dhama. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also in one of his prayers in Sharanagati, we may know this song, Kobe Gauravane Suradhoni Tote Haradheha Krishna Bole. So when will I beg alms here in Navadvipa, and when I drink the water of Saraswati river? She is praying to Saraswati. And also in Navadvip Dhamma Mahatmya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is stating that in Kali Yuga she will flow in another river. And later he mentions then in Navadvip Bhavataranga that Saraswati, which we know Jalangi is actually Saraswati river. Saraswati flows in her root, in her water. So nowadays great sages, they reside in Sridham Mayapur on the bank of Saraswati to also get spiritual advancement and take advantage of her presence. And why it was important for the sages to recite, it's very important to mention also Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata with the purports of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where he reveals to us who is Saraswati Devi. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states, Saraswati is a personification of devotional service to Lord Vishnu. This is Vrindavan Das Thakur's words. Being non-different from Lakshmi, she eternally resides on the chest of Lord Vishnu. She is the mother of the universe. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned that Saraswati is a personification of devotional service, Bhu Shakti. Spiritual knowledge, or Saraswati, hides her real identity. So, what happened next in the Chaitanya Bhagavata? This verse is stated in relation to the past time with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Keshava Kashmiri, which happened just nearby. Ganga was flowing just nearby the community hospital, and one of the spot is known as Barakona Ghat, I believe. That's where Keshava Kashmiri was defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Keshava Kashmiri was a great Pandit, Dikvijay, and he was a great worshipper of Saraswati. But unfortunately, he was devoid of devotion to the Lord Vishnu. And when he came to Navadvipa, all the scholars here were scared. So how can we challenge Keshava Kashmiri? He is a great Pandit. We are just insignificant people. But okay, they got some idea. Okay, let Nimai go and challenge him, because Nimai is just a young boy. And if he will be winner, then it will be glorious for the whole Navadvipa. But if he will be defeated, so no loss. He is just boy. So Nimai Pandit, he met with Keshava Kashmiri, and and he asked him, so can you please glorify the Mother Ganga? Keshava Kashmiri immediately recited 100 verses in her glorification, like a storm, one after another, very quickly. But Nimai, he was able to memorize all of them, and he told, okay, thank you very much, it was very nice glorification of Ganga, but can you please, I will recite one verse, and can you please tell me what are the good qualities and what are the mistakes you have committed in this verse? He was surprised. How is that? There are no mistakes in my poetry. So Nimai, suddenly he recited the verse fully, and okay, Keshava Kashmiri said, there are no faults in my verse, but there are many, many advantages, many good points. And so he stated them one after another, and he was very satisfied, very proud of himself. And Nimai said, okay, very fine, very good, but I can also say a few more good qualities in your verse. But also there are some faults connected to the name of the wife of Lord Shiva. So he was surprised, and eventually Nimai Pandit, he defeated him. Keshava Kashmiri, he was defeated for the first time. He came back home, and he was praying to her goddess, oh Mother, what have I committed? I have committed some offense to yourself, because how is that just one small boy has defeated me? And in a dream, he saw Saraswati Devi, and she told him, oh, you are so foolish, you cannot recognize my worshipable Lord. He is Nimai Pandit, he is my Lord. So you should surrender unto him, you fool. So the next day, Keshava Kashmiri came, and he surrendered to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And now he is also recognized as an Acharya of Nimbarka Sampradaya. In Nimbarka Sampradaya, they have conception of two Keshava Kashmiris, but still they accept him. So Keshava Kashmiri became a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, that is a great quality of him. Nowadays, for example, if somebody is defeated by someone else, he will not surrender. Not judge them because of their past. If at present, there's not judge them because of their past. If at present they're serving Krishna, they're serving Srila Prabhupada, they must be considered pure devotees, regardless their past life. So Keshava Kashmiri was defeated, and Saraswati told him that my worshipable Lord is Nimai Pandit. Similar incident similar pastime happened just recently, 100 years ago, less than 100 years ago, probably in 1934. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was conducting Navadvipa Dhamma Parikrama, and there was one Brahmana from Orissa. He was a worshipper of the sun god. He was also a tantric, and he knew some shastras related to Tantra. And he saw some advertisement, oh, Navadvip Dhamma Parikrama, let me join. And out of coincidence, he took the same boat to cross Jalangi river with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was non-devotee at that time. And he has a habit to chew betel. And he spat the remnants of his betel just in the water of Jalangi. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur very politely but firmly told him, we worship her as Saraswati. And these words pierced the heart of that Brahmana. He was about 60 years old, of the same age like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at that time. It created revolution in his consciousness. So he came back, and like Keshava Kashmiri, he was praying to Saraswati Devi. So, Mother, how is that? What happened? He was a great worshipper of Saraswati Devi also. What happened? I was worshipping you for the whole life, but I could not recognize you. What is the value of my knowledge, of my sadhana, of my tapasya, if I could not recognize my worshipable mother? After that, he decided to surrender to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, that Brahmana, on the boat crossing Saraswati, he was blessed by Saraswati in the form of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, and he decided to surrender under his lotus feet. And because he was very learned and he was very fine point determination he had. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, after a few days, immediately he awarded him sannyasa on the spot. And he became very prominent preacher in Oriya, in Sanskrit languages during that time. And he later became known as Bhakti Gaurava Vaikhanasa Maharaj. So that happened by the mercy of Goddess Saraswati. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his purports to that pastime of Keshava Kashmiri, he states that there are two aspects of Saraswati, who is a manifestation of Lakshmi. There is a Dushta Saraswati, who is a presiding deity of Paravidya, material knowledge. Dushta, or dirty Saraswati. And there is Shuddha Saraswati. And Shuddha Saraswati, she awards spiritual knowledge to the great sages who want it. Nowadays in India, we can see, while traveling, we can see in schools, before they start classes, they still worship Saraswati Devi, but they will be able to get blessings only from Dushta Saraswati, from her material aspect. The real blessings of Saraswati get those who worship Krishna. So they will get the full mercy of Saraswati. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has name Saraswati in has a word Saraswati in his name. In Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's times, some of his disciples used to call him Gaura Saraswati or Chaitanya Saraswati. Interestingly. Why? In this regard, I have something to read. So he was known as Gaura Saraswati because he is non-different from Saraswati because he was serving the words, divine words of Krishna. So Saraswati, she is a goddess of learning, and she is also known as Vak or Vani, divine Vani of Krishna, divine Vani of Gaura. She is Saraswati. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, she was engaged practically 24 hours by preaching Krishna Katha, preaching Hari Katha. So we know Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is a great kirtaniya, but he was not singing kirtan. His kirtan was delivering Hari Katha. He was doing it for hours. 4 hours. In USSR, there were 2 disciples of Srila Prabhupada from USSR, but first was Ananta Shanti Prabhu, the second was Valmiki Muni Prabhu. But Valmiki Muni Prabhu, he received initiation in the USA, but Ananta Shanti Prabhu, he was the first preacher, and he used to preach for hours in Moscow, in different parts of Russia. And there was one concert hall. The devotees used to rent one concert hall, and he started his class at 10 a.m. and he stopped at 8 p.m. and people were coming and going like that. He was preaching constantly. She got blessings by Saraswati Devi through Srila Prabhupada's instructions on him. It's very, very unique. So he also got some blessings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur through the Guru Parampara. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was giving classes constantly, and it was his main business. And once doctor told him, so you shouldn't speak so much because your health is not so good. And instead, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, for 2 hours, he was preaching to that doctor why he shouldn't stop preaching. Yeah. It was a main job of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And also, we reside near the Ganga. We should take advantage of her presence. And if there is an opportunity, we should go and take bath, at least offer her prayers. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, for example, we may go on pilgrimage on Badrinath, different other places. There is nothing wrong with that. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought he has more important work. He never took bath when he traveled along India. He never took bath in holy rivers because his main business is to preaching Hari Katha. So he was worshipping Saraswati Devi by delivering her words. It was his business. So we can learn from that also our main business is to serve Srila Prabhupada, serve Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and if there is an opportunity, definitely we should not neglect and get association of Saraswati Devi. But we are blessed, we get her association, and even by being in her premixity, we are in contact with her divine presence. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was serving Rupa Raghunatha Vani or Gauranga Vani. That's why he is known as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And also it's important for us to know that if we want to learn something, we should get blessings of Krishna. It's not just a matter of words. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had one disciple who was a gardener. And one very learned person, one Brahmana, once approached Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He had some question. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, okay, I will tell you the name of one devotee. You please find him and he will answer all your questions. Oh, how to find this devotee? No, you ask some of my disciples. So he inquired, and it happened that devotee was a gardener. But he was not satisfied, that Brahmana. He again returned to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and told him, oh, Srila Prabhupada, but it was just a gardener. Maybe some mistake, you gave me some wrong information. No, please go and ask him. And when he approached that gardener, the gardener started speaking, and in his words were full of sambandha. So I am growing these flowers for Krishna. They will be offered to Krishna, and they belong to Krishna also. So everything is in this world belongs to Krishna. So real knowledge means when we apply this sambandha jnana in our life. This is real knowledge. It doesn't depend on the size of our brain. And we can be Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, or Kshatriya, but we get all knowledge by serving Krishna. And this is the only way. And Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavatam, there are many verses about that. So those of us who study in Mayapur Institute, so studying and serving should go together. Eventually, only by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, specifically, we can get some spiritual knowledge. That's why when senior devotees speak, they speak realized knowledge, and this is very valuable. And we cannot get it just by accumulating by learning some shlokas and purports. This is essential, but it's not enough. That's why studying and serving should go together. So this is what I could say about today's verse in relation to Saraswati Devi. So the sages took permission, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa took permission from Kardama Muni and they left. Also, in this regard, it's important. So when we go on pilgrimage, for example, we want to see some holy places, there is a difference between the worldly observer when we go to some museums. We are in the position of enjoyer. So I am enjoyer. I came to your museum. Let me see what is going on here. Please show me. But when we go to the holy places, we should do it in the mood of servants. So before entering into some house, into some temple, we should ask permission. Oh, please, could we enter? At least our attitude should be like that, because we are guests here. We came to get blessings. And for me, it was very important also to read this verse, because when we travel, also before leaving, we should take permission. It means we are asking, so maybe we can serve you. Maybe we can do something for you, but please let us know, otherwise we want to leave. So it's a very good etiquette to ask. Also, Saraswati river is famous, and she is mentioned in Bhagavatam in several places. So we already mentioned that Srila Vyasadeva has compiled all the Vedas on her banks. Also, here, Kardama Muni, he was performing his tapasya on the bank of Saraswati. Balarama, when the war in Kurukshetra started, Lord Balaram went on pilgrimage, and he was passing Saraswati river. It mentioned in Bhagavatam. Also, the destruction of the Yadu dynasty mentioned in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam. So, Yadus, they travel to Prabhasa Kshetra. There is in Gujarat. That is the next proof that Saraswati Devi flows there. Saraswati in Prabhasa Kshetra, she enters the ocean. And Vidura also met Maitreya on the bank of Saraswati. In this way, Saraswati plays very important role as the goddess of learning. She is a constant companion of Lord Krishna in his pastimes. So Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu also he performed his pastimes on her banks as Jalangi. Hare Krishna, I will stop here. Please correct me or add something. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, he's not here.
Hare Krishna. So in the early part of first canto, we're taught that we should offer our obeisances to the goddess Saraswati.
Yeah.
Now, as a normal practice in ISKCON, we say that prayer, but we actually, I don't know how devotees offer their obeisances other than reciting that, which is one part of a prayer, how do they offer obeisances to the goddess Saraswati? Is she a demigoddess, like a living entity? Is she a potency of Krishna and she is personified as Saraswati? I just wonder if you have any insight on that. Not to put you on the spot, because I'm asking genuinely. We don't have altars for Saraswati, so I'm just wondering what. Does anyone have any concept about this?
Yeah, thank
Other
you.
than that one prayer that we are supposed to offer obeisances to her before hearing Bhagavatam.
We can offer we can recite pranama mantra of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also. This is one way. And also, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions about Shuddha Saraswati. So by offering that prayers, we invoke the blessings of Shuddha Saraswati. So we don't want to speak from our mind. We want to invite Krishna to our heart so we can transmit his words during our class.
That's the best answer. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna, thank you very much for the
Hare-
wonderful class.
Hare
It
Krishna.
contained so much important information. I just wanted to, there's one point in the purport that really struck home to me, where Srila Prabhupada mentioned the Rishi Kulas, the neighborhoods of the great saints. And it reminded me of how vast Mayapur community has grown. So when I lived in Mayapur, I first came to Mayapur in the early 70s. 74 I resided here. And we had 4 Western women, we had maybe 10 Western men, and we had maybe 20 Bengali Grihasta devotees and a number of children. So it was a very tight community, a very family type of community. And I think it's something that we can learn as now a community of thousands, some transient visitors, some permanently living here, is that we try and create these neighborhoods of the Rishi Kulas, so that when we gather we have a positive mentality. We don't invest in this modern cancel culture, this confirmation bias. You know, we read something on Facebook, oh, it must be true. That we actually have the association, the sangha of each other with that pivotal point of how do we make spiritual advancement? How do we focus on the positive aspects of the Vaishnavas? So I just thought I'd mention that purport today, the Rishi Kula, we could all individually see how we can contribute to making Mayapur a Rishi Kula. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes.
The way Srila Prabhupada directed devotees who have that quality, that rishi-like quality, is quite different from what we read in other yugas of great rishis having their own hermitages and people would come to them. Srila Prabhupada directed the ISKCON rishis to become teachers, either go out and preach or become teachers in our schools, or in a few cases, he allowed them to become professors at outside non-devotee universities to preach to their students and other professors. But he wanted our rishis not to wait for people to come to them, but he wanted our rishis to go to the people. So I wanted to just point
Jai.
that.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Mataji.
Thank you so much for class, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I was just curious because we were talking about how Saraswati is an expansion of Mother Lakshmi Devi and how she's actually material manifestation, Saraswati. If I understood correctly. So my question is, because you were mentioning how Saraswati rests on the chest of Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi sits at the feet of Lord Vishnu, how do we understand that this material manifestation is sitting higher up on the body of...
No, Saraswati Devi, she has two aspects, material aspect and spiritual aspect. Material aspect, she is known as Dushta Saraswati, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned. So, in case of Keshava Kashmiri, she was worshipping and he was getting association only of the material aspect of Saraswati Devi. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and all the devotees who want to associate with her spiritual aspect, they are able to do so. So that is the point. So we should associate with her spiritual aspect, and for that we should be in a prayerful mood. Before we giving classes, we should understand, I cannot say anything. My only glory, or I can only do something good if the Shuddha Transcendental Saraswati Devi decides to descend to my mind, to my heart. So that's why the goddess Saraswati, in her spiritual aspect, she is eternally reside in the chest, on the chest of Lord Vishnu.
Thank you. And would you say that the spiritual aspect of Saraswati and Lakshmi Devi are equal?
She is an expansion. She is an expansion of Lakshmi. Yeah. She is.
Thank you.
One last thought. Since you brought up the two different aspects, I was thinking of an example we have all heard from Srila Prabhupada, of a glass of water. If you want to have a glass of milk, you first have to empty out all the water. If you put the milk inside the glass with water, it becomes diluted. But the best way to have a glass of milk is first empty out all the water. So now, how does this apply to all of us? Every one of us has mundane information floating in our minds and in our memories. And wherever we got that from, the more you can empty that out and replace it with the milk of Bhagavad Dharma, Bhagavad philosophy, Bhagavad Gita. That's Prabhupada's example of how we should look at the value of material knowledge, very low, and the value of spiritual knowledge, which we want to empty our head so it can be replaced with that. So it just reminded me of that example of the glass of water and milk.
Yeah, thank you. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for your association and